Just imagine waiting hours in line to sign a form, only to be told that you'll have to sign another form from an office that's already closed. Or picture resolving a billing issue, only to get bounced through endless automated phone menus, each one more unhelpful than the last. These scenarios can feel both absurd and frustrating, as if the world is conspiring to make you question everything. And that feeling has a name: Kafkaesque. We use the term Kafkaesque because Franz Kafka's surreal stories of human powerlessness have become a symbol for oppressive, irrational, and terrifying experiences. But Kafkaesque is not limited to bureaucratic tyranny. It involves a sense of helplessness and entrapment within illogical systems that seems both meaningless and beyond our control. Kafka's protagonists don't simply experience disillusionment. They are trapped in worlds that deprive them of agency and understanding. Kafkaesque is about more than frustration. It's about feeling powerless in the face of absurdity. To understand Kafkaesque, we need to start with Franz Kafka. Born in Prague in 1883, Kafka worked as a lawyer for an insurance company. He spent his days wading through the bureaucracy he would later denigrate in his writing. And his fiction often places ordinary people in situations that seem to have no rational explanation, where they're stripped of any real power. Now, Kafka's works were largely unpublished during his lifetime, but after his death in 1924, his friend Max Brod ignored Kafka's wishes to have his manuscripts destroyed. Brod published The Trial and The Castle, making Kafka's unsettling visions available to the public. So, what makes something Kafkaesque? It's rooted in systems: bureaucratic, social, existential, systems that operate without logic or human concern. The trial follows Joseph K., who wakes up one morning to find himself arrested for a crime he doesn't know how to commit. The police refuse to tell him why he's been charged, and the more he tries to navigate the court system, the more helpless he becomes. It's only because of their stupidity that they're able to be so sure of themselves, Joseph says, highlighting the absurdity of confronting an uncaring state. Over time, Joseph does come to understand the vague, illogical nature of his supposed crime, but its true meaning remains unclear, mirroring the opaque, irrational systems Kafka's characters often face. Kafkaesque is not only about bureaucratic tyranny, however. It also encompasses absurdity, where logic disintegrates, leaving us trapped in a surreal, nightmarish state. In the Metamorphosis, Gregor Samsa wakes up as a giant insect. The transformation renders him a grotesque vermin, a figure both monstrous and pitiable. Kafka's portrayal of Gregor's alienation underscores the absurdity of life, and Gregor's family, once dependent on him, now sees him as a burden. His isolation deepens as they turn away from him, unable to understand his plight. His condition reveals the cruelty of an indifferent world, and his family's apathy adds to the horror. Isolation is another hallmark of the Kafkaesque. Kafka's characters are always alone, disconnected from others, and incapable of truly relating to anyone. In The Castle, Kay is an outsider attempting to gain entry into a mysterious castle that governs the town. Kay isn't just trying to enter. He's trying to navigate and integrate himself into a system that seems to have no logic, no compassion, and no explanation. Every attempt he makes to engage with the castle's authorities is thwarted by contradictory regulations with careless officials. And what's even stranger is Kay's growing realization that his struggle may be futile. "You're under arrest," Kay is told at one point. But he's never informed of the reason for his arrest. This sense of powerless struggle against an abstract, impersonal system is what makes the situation Kafkaesque. Kafkaesque moments are not confined to fiction. They occur in real life, especially within modern bureaucracies. Think about dealing with government agencies or trying to fix an error on a medical bill. In 2021, the story of a man wrongly charged with a felony in Illinois for over a year because of bureaucratic errors became a real-world example of Kafkaesque absurdity. The futility of attempting to find a solution in these systems mirrors the helplessness Kafka's characters feel in their confrontations with irrational, impersonal forces. Kafka's influence extends into films like Terry Gilliam's Brazil, which portrays the absurd power of bureaucracy, and TV shows like Black Mirror explore how technology can introduce new Kafkaesque dilemmas. Kafka's legacy is also visible in George Orwell's 1984, where an oppressive government controls every detail of life, and in Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, which channels existential absurdity. Now, while Orwell critiques totalitarian power, Kafka often explores the existential crisis faced by individuals trapped in pointless, incomprehensible systems. Kafka's works tap into universal fears, isolation, helplessness, and meaninglessness. Existentialists like Albert Camus have drawn parallels between Kafka's work and their own investigations of the absurd. Camus in The Myth of Sisyphus explains that Kafka's characters struggle in systems they cannot understand, battling against forces that seem as futile as Sisyphus's endless climb. Kafka's works align well with existential thought because they reveal how individuals, no matter how hard they try, are often caught in systems that lack meaning and offer no hope of escape. Yet, despite the absurdity in Kafka's stories, they also reveal a glimmer of humanity in the struggles. Gregor Samsa's alienation in the Metamorphosis mirrors the dehumanizing effects of modern institutions. Joseph K's fight for justice in the trial speaks to the human urge for fairness, even when that desire seems impossible to fulfill. Kafka's writing teaches us that perseverance matters, even when the odds are overwhelming, but it also reminds us that the perseverance may not always bring resolution, as Kafka's characters often meet tragic or unresolved endings. Joseph K., despite his best efforts, is condemned to death without ever understanding his crime, leaving readers to confront the paradox of human persistence in the face of absurdity. Not everyone agrees on what Kafkaesque truly means. Some critics argue that the term is overused, applied to situations that lack Kafka's existential depth. For example, while waiting on hold for customer service might be frustrating, it lacks the absurdity and horror Kafka depicted. The term has become so widespread that it risks losing its connection to Kafka's exploration of existential dread. And some critics even contend that the term has been misapplied to situations that simply involve inconvenience or bureaucracy, without any of the surreal, irrational qualities that Kafka's work explores. By focusing on Kafka's deeper themes of isolation and helplessness, we can avoid cheapening the term and return it to its true significance. Nonetheless, Kafkaesque endures because it speaks to the systems that shape our lives. As technology advances, new forms of rationality emerge. Algorithms now determine who gets a loan, a job interview, or even a medical diagnosis, creating faceless decision makers that echo Kafka's bureaucratic nightmares. Kafka's work, questions these systems and how do you find humanity within them? His stories remind us that we must confront these absurdities head on, acknowledging their existence while continuing to resist them. To appreciate the term Kafkaesque, we have to understand these struggles within ourselves and in others. In moments of absurdity and helplessness, we can find solidarity in the shared human experience. As Kafka wrote in The Castle, it's only because of the people that the authorities seem to exist at all. Kafka's vision persists because it highlights both the absurdity of existence and the resilience of the human spirit. And in a world that seems incomprehensible, we can persevere, even when the systems around us seem impossible to understand. And what about you? Have you ever experienced a Kafkaesque moment? Tell us about it in the comments, and of course like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And there's a new way to engage with Person Vision. Memberships that further support the channel and give some cool perks, and you can check that out here. And I'll see you soon.